Alright, so it's our Lagos O'Clock. Who's excited as I am? Because I am very, very excited. Of course, 5 minutes now gone past 2 on your Women Radio, WFM 91.7. And yes, today we have a business, so we get business to talk. And the business, we say, we got to talk about some things when they happen for this our Lagos. So, and yes, you know, this is where I'd say we got your back. And of course, Lagos is a beautiful place, no doubt. But again, sometimes we need to talk about certain realities that are beginning to come up around us. That's why today on the program, our topic is flash flood in Lagos, holding the government accountable. Who's with me on this? All right, let's do this. Now, I'm not alone on the program. I have a very amazing guest with me. Yes, by person of Deji Akinpelu. And yes, he's the founder of Rethinking Cities Initiative, which is an advocacy group that focuses on urban development issues and, of course, communicating possible innovations, designs to solve them. Now, a little bit more about Deji Akinpelu. He's a photographer and documentary filmmaker. For me, when I first met him, and I was just like, you know what, I know you, I'm sure I know you. Just said, did you watch so and so? And that's it. So yes, it's somebody you know, but you may not know that you know. And well, I want to talk about some of his works. He has a work, Valid Dreams, a photo documentary on forceful eviction of Otulukmame residents between 2016 to 2017. And of course, some of these works of these have been published and exhibited by Amnesty International, French Development Agency, Slum Dwellers International, and Enriched Bo Steve Tong Kiloshele, but I did you what's my offense, Nigeria. And of course, is the producer and director of the documentary film Kelechi's Quest. Now you may know that. A documentary that focuses on the challenges of affordable housing in the fast-growing city of Lagos. Now, there's a lot more I want to say about Deji, but for starters, it's good for you to just hear his voice. Say good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Nice to be here. Good afternoon, Belt.
Yeah. And you know, I miss traditional broadcasting. You know, when in the afternoon we'll come and say, yes, my name is Melanie Shalai. Welcome to the Afternoon Belt. So from now till 9 p.m., I'm going to be taking you through this program. By 2 o'clock, we're going to be having. By 4 o'clock, we're going to. Gee! Oh, levels the change gone. All right, good to have you. Now, last week on our Lagos, we discussed the environmental sanitation of the state, and we can, of course, attest to the fact that the lack of adequate environmental sanitation in the streets of Lagos could also lead to unfavorable flooding as a result of blocked drainages and the likes of that. And yes, I remember the question last week was, should we have the one day, which was the last Saturday of the month, back, as Governor Sanwo-Olu has said that there is a possibility of returning it, or, you know, to even have more than one day, because the state of Lagos right now, there's a lot of cleaning that needs to be done. Now, today, we're not going that way, but what we did last week and today is very much linked. So, yes, we hope to eradicate the dangers of flash flood in the streets of Lagos and also be able to ask the right questions to our government to be able to get the right answers. Somebody said to me, question begets answers. In other words, question equals answers. No, those are deep words for those who can think really deep. But for me on this program, it's just to come and talk really deep. So talking with me really deep is Deji Akinpelu. And for me to start on a deep note, I just really want to say that the first time I heard flash flood in my life, the laugh you want to laugh was last Friday, and what I encountered was not funny. I won't use my mouth to describe it. Yeah. So for starters, I'd like for you to just explain what flash flood is.
Okay, flash flood is defined as rapid flooding of a low-lying area, which dry land, lakes, you know, which is caused by heavy rain happening in those areas. So expectedly, we are going to be seeing more of that in the city of Lagos.
Are you for real?
Yeah,
I'm scared.
Yeah, because we are moving. Definitely, we're in the era of climate change. We've had a very long heated period. Now we are having heavy rains. The water is coming back to the head. So there's a climate change, which is a global issue, response that we need to activate in a city like Lagos. Particularly also with the fact that Lagos is a coastal state. We're surrounded by water. We're surrounded by water, so we are very, very prone to flood. So naturally, by the geographical location of Lagos, being a coastal state, we are prone to experience flooding. By a particular report that came out, Lagos is like on number 15th city that should be taking flooding seriously
in the world.
Considering climate change impact.
Yes.
Also, Lagos is a fast-growing urban city. People are migrating; they are moving into the city of Lagos. 60-70 people every minute. So the quest for the need for housing is increasing on a daily basis.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So we are having more and more housing developments happening on one end for those who can afford. So there's housing development that you see in your highbrow area in Lekki and all of that. Also, you have people moving into slum areas, and then the need for housing in those places is increasing. But those places, you'll find out that there are places that we actually call wetlands. Wetlands are slumpy areas, wet areas. They are just natural places where water would comes naturally into this. Water goes there naturally and just pours into the
area,
into the ocean, back
through there,
through that canal. Now those areas, now they are being covered up. People are developing, are building houses in those areas. So if you look at Lagos geographically, if you look at it from the 60s and now, if you look at it area-wise, you'll discover that the wetlands are reducing by day. So you have your Lekki axis, and you find housing development happening in all
massively, yes.
So a combination of several factors, the geographical location of Lagos as a coastal state, the fact that people are moving also into the city, and the demand
mountain pressure on the resources of the state, the land resources of the state. All right, thank you very much. That's been Deji Akinpelu, and of course is the founder of Rethinking Cities. Now, today our concern is to talk on the flash flood issue in Lagos, and of course to demand accountability. As I said, that some deep people said question equals answers. So we need to be able to know what kind of questions should be asked, and of course who to direct our questions at in order to be able to get our answers. Now, arguably, the rate of flooding occurrence in recent times has been unprecedented. Now, with over 70 million people globally exposed to flooding every year, and more than 800 million living in flood-prone areas, climate change, as Deji said, has been one of the major reasons for this change all over the world. And of course, more frequent and severe rainfall events is another. Now, sea level rise, rapid population growth and urbanization, the rate of development on floodplains, the level of awareness of flood risk, and the ineffectiveness of efforts towards tackling flood in many parts are factors of concern, especially in this part of the globe. And yes, they did say that Lagos is the 15th country in the world that is prone to flooding. Is it just flash flooding or just flooding?
Okay, it's according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has identified Lagos as one of the top 20 one of the top 20 cities at risk of coastal flooding by 2070 actually, and it actually ranked 15 as at 2007. So flash flood. I've never
heard flash before anyway, and of course, why would it be of interest to me? So it was more like I took a tour, of Lagos on Friday. I had a lot of places to go to for certain activities. I had to first go to Akoka and then Igonu, and of course, from this area to those areas, it's like going on a journey. But a place that would usually take less than 2 hours took me 5 hours in traffic. This was not funny. And of course, upon leaving Akoka again, another traffic of about 3 hours to get to Igonu, a particular area called Ego. Now, in all of these, apart from the flood that I experienced and discovered, I also found out that it wasn't just the flood that actually actually did give rise to the flash flood that we experienced, it was also as a result of the bad roads around Lagos. Have you been to around Lagos?
Okay. So now drilling down to the issue is what infrastructures do you have in place
to cope with this?
Okay, that's the question.
Yes.
So we are talking about, like you correctly said, bad roads, potholes, which creates manholes that you can. I almost got into one on my way coming. Drainage system. So when you talk about in response to this climate change that is expected to happen, what infrastructure? So what we clearly have is an infrastructure deficiency. So I was watching a news report of a particular area in Ikorodu, Agric, which clearly described what you were talking about just before.
Could it be Ishawo? Oh goodness, yeah. I saw it too. Agric area. Oh goodness.
So a road construction was happening there, but it has been abandoned. So that's the consequence when infrastructure is failing, or you're having abandoned road projects, and all of that. So I try to measure things in terms of, okay, there are 1, 2, 3 factors responsible for something. So which is the most valid, or which one has the greatest impact? You understand? So clearly, in a state like Lagos, infrastructural development takes a lot of place in terms of the reasons why we are having these issues. So we have clearly cases of abandoned road construction and poor drainage system. So Lagos has what is called the Lagos Drainage Master Plan, which is a 25 years plan, which is a policy that has been put in place. Now, so from the master plan, there are clearly infrastructures that need to be put in place.
Okay.
And according to the plan, Lagos on an average would have to spend slightly higher than 20 billion annually
to solve, for 25 years.
Yeah. To solve the problem of the drainage system, and to implement a drainage master plan across the state. So you have the plan for Badagry, you have the plan for Lekki, and all of that. But when you look at the budgetary allocation to solve the problem of drainage system in Lagos in the last going back as far back as 2012, 2013, 2015, averagely what has been budgeted for, you could put it at an average of 230 million naira
a year. And that's a lot lesser than what should be expended.
So what's more shocking and surprising is between 2014 and 15, there's actually no clear record of how money spent on the drainage system according to the master plan. Zero spend to solve the problem of drainage, which is quite shocking. So something that required
urgent attention
that is of about 20 billion naira as a 20 from record 2014 2015, zero spent.
Okay, going forward from 2015, what's the case?
Going forward, we don't have records. This is just as a report that we're part of, put together by Arctic Infrastructure, which is a private organization. The report will soon be out in a couple of weeks. It's about the challenges of flooding in Lagos. Taking up some case studies. But now, when you talk about budgetary allocation, so what it clearly shows is that in the last few years, there is a serious budgetary gap in solving the problem of drainage in the city of Lagos.
And considering that tackling drainage itself is a major variable in actually solving this flooding, and of course the issues of water around Lagos.
It's a big variable. So sometimes, yes, it is very, 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 very important. Citizens have to be responsible about the way they dispose their waste.
Yes.
You understand? When you carry your waste out, you're supposed to tie it, put it in the container that is sealed, so that when it rains, it doesn't fall and spill on the road. And yes, we've seen online cases of some people using waste. When it now rains, they bring out their waste
and push it with the water.
So citizens also have their part
to play.
And for
What
me,
you say enough education is being actually made available to citizens to ensure that they do the right thing?
interestingly, the government in itself had made rules and laws
Yes.
that had made these things even citizens on their part, giving them a leverage to do some of these wrong things. So when we had in Lagos the ban of cat pushers,
Yes.
so the government banned cat pushers and we introduced PSPs. We forgot quickly that there were some communities where PSPs will not be able
access. Yes.
to access. There are some communities who will not be able to afford or pay for your PSPs. What those communities, those certain informal settlements can clearly afford are just cat pushers. Where they will probably pay 50 naira or 100 naira and all of that. So those cat pushers were banned. So there are lots and lots of informal communities are all around Lagos who have waste now, who don't know what to do with waste.
Okay.
Yes, although there are initiatives that have come up now and people are doing so in some of those communities, you're having separation of plastic waste and all of that. People are doing that. But largely, you move into these communities. As at 2 weeks ago, we paid a visit to Divine Estate. The people love to be called Divine Estate.
I still want to talk about that your visit of 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
I think it's going to be a robust conversation on its own, but this juncture is right for us to just, go shake some, you know what I'm saying? Let's get to see what your mama gave you. Then you've got to dance, so I'll be sure.
I'm gonna be strong, 'cause I know I'm gonna live long. Oh Lord, yes, I'm big man. I got a lot of watch to send on the way.
Yes, you prayed for the rains to be sent down. Now here comes the rains. Except I haven't particularly seen your readiness to receive the rains. They say when you're praying for something and you have faith for it to happen, for example, rain, and you have faith it would happen, you should have at least an umbrella to show that, yes, you really do expect for it to rain. So it looks like maybe we just didn't prepare for the rain this time. I mean, to talk about the fact that when the rain started falling in January this year, we had incidences of flooding in Nigeria, Lagos particularly, and of course several states in Nigeria. And statistics also claims that over the period 1985 to 2019, looks like a very long time, flooding in Nigeria has affected more than 15 million lives, with a total of 3,000 deaths and property damaged exceeding $17 billion. Lagos State has experienced most of the floods, while more frequent floods are recorded in Niger, Adamawa, Oyo, Kano, and Jigawa states, possibly due to the influence of rivers Niger, Benue, River Ogun, and Adeja. And of course, it is argued that more robust and scientific approaches to flood risk reduction, such as flood modeling and vulnerability assessment, are lacking. Now, they need to bring in the government in all of this. But Deji, before we go into that aspect, which is a key area of our conversation today, I'd like you to talk about your recent event, okay? So you had this Lagos bus tour 0.1.
Yes, so we had our Lagos
but I couldn't catch the bus. You guys left without me.
We have many more coming.
All right.
So we had a recent bus tour to one of the wetlands in Lagos, and the idea on the concept was to just take media and the general public to a location which was Bagada Antony area. It's opposite Redeem, with the Trem Church. It's an open land, and actually the land stretches down from that Antony area straight down to Odoyalaru or Kane Village, Maryland. So it's a wetland. Mende, Maryland.
Yes.
So it's a wetland, and it's present.
Isn't that place being used for Fadama? This waterside farming and the rest of that?
No. So it stretches down, and it's under the control of LASPAC. The GM of LASPAC was actually part of the media briefing. She spoke to the press about the plan for the protection of that wetland. So basically what's been happening in Lagos over the years is that wetlands like that have suddenly... You have building approvals being given to such places, and people have started building, including that axis. There are already allocations being done for people to build along those axes. So, which is a big problem for a city like Lagos in our town planning processes. Which also, if you go probably down to the Lekki axis and all of that, you discover there are quite a number of places which ought to just be swampy wetlands that need to be protected and preserved, just the same way you have the Nigerian Conservation Foundation center there. You could imagine that is not there. What we just have is housing. So it was to emphasize the importance and to have an underground assessment of what is going on. What is very sad about it is that we have government agencies, other government agencies and authorities releasing such lands for housing development.
When it shouldn't be. And also considering what you said, that what ought to be spent in the last few years with regards to the 25-year plan of repositioning the drainage system of Lagos has actually more like not been done.
So you're not spending to fix the infrastructure,
and you're not preventing,
and you're also now natural habitations such as a wetland, which is a swampy area that creates eco balance, because you have other animals who live there and all of that, and water is just supposed to flow in through it. You're also not protecting it. So why you're allocating them for housing?
Thank you very much.
The whole visit then was now, okay, how do we prevent all this? How can we protect this?
Thank you very much. It's 2:30. You're listening to our Lagos on your Women Radio WFM 91.7. My name is Melanie Ishola. My guest is Deji Akinpelu. And of course, if you've been following very closely, it's clear that we've been talking about what you and I must have been experiencing, and it's great to have you join us this afternoon to discuss your area in particular. Of course, I'm going to be asking Deji to actually go to specifics of area to area, And of course, we've been talking flash flood in Lagos. Now you've heard the definition of flash flood. Don't ask me about it again. All right, and of course, holding the government accountable. Numbers to call today: 07000 917 917 or 9025 625455. You can drop a text to on 07031 756537. Do not forget that we stream live on www.wfm917.com, and yes, use the social media handle at WFM917 on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook to talk to us. Use the hashtag Our Lagos, and of course we will be able to get your comments and contributions on the program today. Yes, once again, flash flood in Lagos. There are different angles to actually interrogate, and we'll be bringing this on board this afternoon. All right, well, I'm expecting your call. Do bear in mind that you have to share with us exactly how the flooding in Lagos has been affecting you, and of course any efforts at all by the government to actually help solve this. What you think is responsible, if possible, on the program. Once again, 07000 917 917 or 9025 625455. So back to Deji Akinpelu with me. Once again, thank you for joining me, Deji. This conversation is so big, I couldn't have had it alone. And of course, your inputs have been so helpful in directing the conversation today. So for me, I'd like to have notable names of areas in Lagos that gets easily affected by flood. Of course, it's more like a yearly event now. So who are the customers of flood?
Yeah, it's interesting. And the island generally, Lekki axis, and we've always known that. And I think it was last year when it happened on the mainland, and the island guys
we're happy.
you guys were affected.
Yes.
So really, it's a widespread. It is probably expected almost everywhere right now. So it's also caused. There's another dimension to it. Is that what is our? I think we have a call.
Let me interject you. Yes. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from.
Your name again?
My name is Deji.
Okay. Oh, apologies. Yes, please. Let's have your contribution.
My contribution is in Colombia. We don't have much flood, but this question of allocating swampy areas to people for habitation. They are doing.
Hello, Chief. Chief. Hello, Chief. All right, we might have lost Chief there, so we hope he calls us back. He really has something to say.
So really, even from the way things are going, clearly areas that you least expected are probably going to start experiencing flood. Interestingly, somewhere I would like to quickly point out, and I hope the governor or the authorities are listening, is one other estate that we visited of recent.
Okay, I'm interjecting you quick. Hello?
Hello.
Grandma! Oh, happy new month, Grandma. I'm very well, thank you. Good afternoon, Nee. As in, it can't be like midnight for myself.
I salute Mr. Akinpelu.
Hey, good afternoon, Grandma.
Thank you for the laudable job we are doing. Because, I've been wondering, because I was just suddenly there are so many housing estates all over the place. And I just wonder, how did they get this one? This one that is not supposed to be residential, to see housing estates there. And it's like some people are working against Lagos State government law. That's what I felt. Before, like this Banana Island, no, the other one before Banana Island, like
Aquatlantic?
No, the one is near. You can go from there to enter Banana Island. It's in a Korisu. In a
Parkview Estate, okay.
Before it was a garden. That people go for picnic, and when we are going there for picnic and all that. And you will see that some area when you enter the park, you now go to, you now turn left, go down, you will see farm. That area, and I learned that they sold it to one very rich man. Until now, they cannot develop it. Such a place is supposed to be reserved, like Mr. Akinpelu is saying now. And maybe because of the population, people want to live in Lagos, the whole of Nigeria, or even the whole world.
Who wants to come and live in Lagos, Grandma? Now for you. Now so it's your Lagos be.
That's why they reclaim.
I dey hear you, Grandma.
So they go reclaim Atlantic Ocean.
Grandma, we'll dredge it. We'll dredge it and build an estate for you.
No, I don't want to. That's what I want to. So, like Mr. Akinpelu, they're taking up this project now. I hope the Lagos State government will support them. And then do the needful so that, this weather change, what do you call it?
Climate change.
Will not come and affect us for this Lagos.
It's affecting us already anyway, that it doesn't get out of hands.
Yes, this way, but then more people are coming in, and this was like it rains today. By tomorrow, if it doesn't rain, this is something else. So I hope government will.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so thank you so much, Grandma. Thank you very much. All right, so a lot's been said.
Yeah, I just want to captured by Grandma there. So, like I was trying to say, there's this estate called Deji Akinpelu.
Yes.
Deji, when you're descending, coming from the mainland, you're coming down to the third mainland bridge. There's this Illubian estate. Just right behind it is Deji Akinpelu estate. As far back as the administration of Governor Fashola, that estate has been under serious threat due to development going on around that axis and causing a serious drainage issue in that environment. Water not being able to pass, over the years. Yes, and if there's any building collapse that is going to happen anytime soon, is probably going to come from that estate. Yeah, that's how bad the structures are. And the issue
is it that the structures are not well constructed, or they've been affected over time by the
they are your original Jakonde
estates.
Yeah.
Right.
So as at that time, interestingly, what we want to bring in, as at that time, that was the Lekki, the Lekki that we have today. That was what that estate was. You imagine a Jakonde estate close to the island as at that time. And is under serious threat of flooding right now. The buildings are giving way, and now from the administration of Governor Fashola down to Ambode, the problem hasn't been solved. Which is just shows there's an estate that has been dredged. There's a sand filling of an unknown estate very close to that estate now, which is also affecting the estate, bringing water back into that system.
I mean, this case study of yours is actually quite,
it's alarming, and we really want to put it out there. And the people are there; they're crying for government help, and nobody is answering them. Yeah, of course, we have a new administration, and this particular estate and several other estates all around Lagos, you have them, they're being threatened by flood.
Thank you, Deji. Yes, studio time has come to 20 minutes before 3, and of course, you're listening to your very amazing Our Lagos program on your Women Radio, WFM 91.7. I put out the phone lines. Don't forget as well, you can use the hashtag Our Lagos on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And yes, call us up 07000 917 917 or 9025 625455. I would like to hear from you. We're talking Our Lagos. Do not forget you have a part in this. And yes, as Deji has just spoken, I'd like to ask him now. So the people in that environment definitely must be in need of help, just like the people in the Ishawa Greek area of Ikorodu. Yes, that both of us have actually profiled today on the program. Now, the question that will be on my mind while I pick this call would be, which agency of the government should be called out to be held responsible in this matter? Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Grandma, good to have you again.
That's Deji estate that Mr. Akinpelu is talking about. I looked at it about 3 years ago, because I was following this to Obaspala, and we couldn't pass again because there was flood up before we even get to the estate. So I looked at it, and some of the buildings, if you look at it very well, Mr. Akinpelu, they are sinking. So the best thing for the government, the state government to do is look for another land where they will develop and relocate these people and demolish the old houses there, so that there won't be any catastrophe or calamity. Then even apart from that, the estate behind the secretariat, federal secretariat, you know that estate?
Yes.
You know, part of free. When by this rainy season, when you want to enter that gate, it's flooded. So some of the houses there, I think, are affected by water. So what are we talking about? And then these rich people again, what you locally want when you offshore, so it's affecting some part of that estate that I guess behind secretariat.
Yes.
The water is no more flowing, so it stands still, it's affecting them. Let's guys.
Thank you.
The problem of us is this Lagos.
Okay, that's Grandma Lainga's submission. All right, thank you. Don't worry, Grandma, did you react to your assertions? Thank you very much, Grandma.
The biggest worry or trying to study that estate now is, the big question right now is this what is going to become of Lekki Phase 1, Lekki Phase 2 in some few years to come?
That's going to be a sad reality.
Because that estate was the Lekki Phase 1 and Lekki Phase 2
of years back
in the 80s. So like she rightly mentioned, the buildings are giving way. The people can't move out of their houses. It's all it's a terrible situation which needs urgent attention.
Okay, so it now takes us back to that question before we entertain that call of, so which agency of government, I mean, people don't have a right, the government also has the right. So who can the government, the people call out to, you know the way they say, if it affects your neighbor, it will affect you. Sometimes the people suffering are not even willing to get the help. At least their neighbors can get the help for them. So yes, who can we reach out to?
So in all of this, you usually have things that are interministerial. So there are several ministries involved. So you have housing involved, you have the Ministry of Environment. Even like in the case of Deji Akinpelu, there is the government agency that is directly involved in the issue, which is LASURA. That is the Lagos State Agency for Urban Renewal. You understand? It's part of their own project. Like they say now, okay, there's a new government, and but it requires urgent attention. Okay. So you usually have, and we also have issues whereby, okay, so one ministry, so under the Ministry of Environment is LASPAC. You understand? And LASPAC is trying to protect wetland, but another ministry that is in charge of allocating land to people, that's another person entirely. So when an allocation is about to be done by the ministry that is supposed to be in charge of that, writes to all the relevant ministries and says, okay, we want to allocate this land. According to this ministry's stand and plans, this is a wetland. You don't allocate it, and somebody calls bluff and decides to allocate it. So, we have to take things from the center and holistically, and government agencies need to work more together.
All right. So there has to be the collaboration amongst all of this, because the question was which agency, but we have, we have about 5 agencies now. The housing, the environment, and of course under that we have the LASPAC.
You have LASPAC.
Of course we have LASURA, as you said, which is the Lagos State Urban
Renewal. In cases you have to consider transport. Okay. Is there a plan for a rail line to
pass through
these places? So is the case, the issue on ground. The issue on ground is that the things they're interministerial, but the ministries have to learn to work together.
All right. Thank you very much. So because they are interministerial, in essence, we're asking that the people actually just go out there and, of course, call on the different ministries that could, help.
I expect Lagosians right now to speak out more and challenge and ask about the plan. You understand? In fact, what we have proposed is that for every area in the city of Lagos, we should have the drainage master plan of every area published. So when construction is happening in your area, you go and check, is this place earmarked for, is it earmarked as a green area? Everybody should be able to know. I should be able to go, we're in a digital age, I should be able to go online and know clearly places that have been marked as green areas. So immediately
construction is happening there, I can report.
People can report.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, studio time has come to 15 minutes, of course, before the hour of 3, and you're listening to our Lagos on your Women Radio, WFM 91.7. My name is Melanie Shola. My guest is Deji Akinpelu. He's the founder of Rethinking Cities. And yes, we've been talking about flash flood in Lagos, and yes, holding the government accountable. A lot of things came up in the course of this conversation, and I think it's only right, going from where we're coming from, to begin to now say, yes, there are defaulters. People are quick to say, it's our government. For me, I like to say, two wrongs can't make a right. So let's look at it from the different angles. So Grandma, for example, called now to say, you know what, I want to know our money bags. And of course, so the bought certain lands, they're not meant to be for, residential usage and all of that, but now they're claiming those areas and living in there. So question, how can the government hold these defaulters accountable? Of course, not forgetting that they must have had collaboration with several I know about that though, but again, how can the government actually do something to ensure that people comply by the laws of the land?
Yeah, there's quite a number of these developments they haven't happened without
government notice or approval.
You understand? So clearly in the cases where people don't have approvals, the citizens should be able to report. And I think first of all we have to paint a good picture to the people.
Okay.
So by the time we paint this picture of the danger ahead, people will know the necessary action to take and how to take it. You understand what I'm saying? So something happened on Sunday. Now people went to protest because everybody has had the danger of this matter. You see, I think one of the key challenges that we have as a people is that we don't even know the implication of what is going on. This is our future at risk. That's your house that you built, that you are excited about. In some years to come, is coming down. The story that people are being told and that are building, RAP foundation, as long as you have done this, so the building will be secure when the flood comes. Lagos is at risk, and we should all know that by now, and we should all clamor and call out and begin to speak and talk to authorities and speak to them. It's a matter of urgent attention. We should have our government speaking now, and government shouldn't come out and quickly point. Yes, people are pouring refuse on the street, which is wrong and totally unacceptable. But government also on its own part is not spending, is not doing enough to curb this situation. We have a serious budgetary gap, even in its spending and its transparency. The funding for my drainage plant is actually, it comes from the state, the federal government too has its own part, and the local government too has its own part. So the federal government too has also been making money available to.
So this money that's even meant to be spent, say since 2014, that hasn't been spent now. How can we even begin to start, conversations about it to say, was the money not released in the first place? If it was released, why was it spent? What was it? Was it diverted? Where was it spent? And how can we get the money back to ensure that the works are now, fully implemented?
Yeah, that's the question that we need to start asking. What was responsible? You understand? What's happening? Open government is what we call for right now. I've always said it on this show.
Open budgetary processes.
Yes. So even in terms of the times that even there were allocations, and there was even a time, there was a year like 5 years or 6 years ago, Lagos State even spent more than what was budgeted for. And so, but also transparency in terms of what goes into what. How do you engage the people in the process of solving their problem? Like the case of Adeniji Adele. Also now involving, so the plan at some point was that Lagos State government will pull down houses and start rebuilding bit by bit, and the project was stopped at some point. Some people collected money and nothing happened. There was no provision. So even government has turned it all around now, and we're going fully commercial. The last administration of Lagos State told the residents that we're going to find a private developer to work with to develop this estate. That was what the people were told, and they found a private developer that wanted to work and rebuild the estate, and the previous government refused to sign. After the people went, the former governor told them, he said, I don't have money to spend on this estate.
Blatantly.
He told them, he said, go and find a private developer.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, before we make a wrap on the program today, Deji, there's a lot you have done in this regard as an individual, as an organization. It will only be right for me to ask that you share with me, as you shared with certain media, stakeholders you took around some 2 weeks ago, the innovative, or what you consider the innovative, the inclusive and alternative development strategies to flood resilience in Lagos.
Okay, so now we are an advocacy group, but we have other NGOs who are working with LASPAC, the Lagos State Agency for Parks and Gardens, the Lagos Urban Network, and several other partners. They're looking at the preservation of wetlands in Lagos. So the plan is not just to leave this land bare, but rather plan these areas and make them very active. Interestingly, the the wetland from Bagada down to Maryland, there's a bicycle rail that could be built, so people can take bicycle all the way from Bagada and travel down. We don't want Okadas, we don't want cars. No road should be built there, because also we are talking about climate change.
This is bringing Lagos up to speed with what's obtainable in real Western cities.
So it's a prototype, it's a project that is being proposed. So along the lines, you're also going to have community farming, which also solve the problem of food crisis. So you have this farming that people can do. Then within that area, people can go buy produce from there. Pretty much the project also goes in the area of the NC and the Nigerian Conservation Foundation that you have in Lekki. Pretty much something that you on the island, the same thing that we can have very healthy ideas that protects the environment going on around that axis, and also aiding mobility. So we don't all have to be on the road. Absolutely. If you create that axis there, you can move easily. So I think the project needs, so it's coming from LASPAC, but it needs the support of the government, it needs the support of the people. We also generally we need to look at this idea and carry it to other wetlands all around the city of Lagos before people start encroaching on those lands. It's like, see, because they are just there, nothing is happening. People don't understand that, they are just there, it's good like that. But we have to conceptualize of how to make use of these wetlands to preserve them and also make use of them so that we don't have this encroachment that keeps happening.
Thank you very much. These points are valid, and of course I do believe there's something will be done about it. Well, somebody said to me, Melody, just stop believing. Let's swing into action. And of course, if we would go into action the way Nigerians have demanded accountability over the issue of rape allegations of Busola Dakolo, and of course, I mean, so much has been said, but today I've not been able to even talk about Timi Dakolo actually, giving the enablement, all right, for Busola to be able to do that. Of course, the real hero, in this story is Busola Dakolo. However, a lot of Nigerians have taken this as their cause, and they began to demand for this accountability. Now, on issues of flash flood, which affects all of us, it's a common denominator. So I am hoping that we would arise, not just as Lagosians, but as Nigerians, to be able to say, you know what, we demand accountability. I feel it's a wave of demanding accountability that is sweeping across the nation, and it's a right
and it's global.
And it's global. Yes.
People should not give up. We will speak. It's just that people just need to know the impact of what is going on around them. So you're seeing these estates springing up all around you. Yes. You need to start asking questions.
All right, thank you very much. And of course, that's a way of saying thank you to Deji Akinpelu, founder of Rethinking Cities, on the program today. Yes, of course, a lot's been said, but again, more like a quick recap to tell you that in case you're wondering what flash floods are again, this refers to a sudden local flood over heavy rain. I think it's that simple. I had to go Google it. I didn't know. I've never heard it before until last Friday. And of course, thank you for joining me today to discuss flash flood in Lagos. And of course, holding the government accountable. What government can do is enormous, but do not forget that what you can do as well is actually very important and key to fighting this phenomenon. Yes, my name is Melanie Ishola, and of course, we're obviously in rainy season. I love waters, I don't know, but it's okay, because you know what, you get to catch me every Mondays now, no longer Tuesdays. It's not breaking news again, right? Yeah, I know. So yes, next week Monday is another time, 2 p.m. on your darling radio station, WFM 91.7. And yes, don't forget to send in your comments, your views, your perspectives of Lagos to 070-3575, and I hope I'm not getting that wrong. Yes, 070-3175-6537. That's my way of saying thank you for joining me. My name is Melanie Ishola, and a big thank you to the entire team of our Lagos, Kels Okezijo Ray, Anthony Demelda, my producer, and of course the executive producer, Abebi Olakule. Please take care of my Lagos. It's yours, Thank you very much.